My name is Geoff, I need something to do, an excuse to have conversations with you. I wasted my life gaining pop culture knowledge, which shows much more than my 10 seconds in college. My name is Geoff, Geoff needs something to do.
Okay, hello everybody. I know we've talked to Gluten recently. It wasn't that great of a conversation just because we're still learning like phone situations. But we do have Gluten on the line today, and he's doing okay, I think. How's it going there, Gluten?
Yeah. Hey, bud. How's it hanging out there?
Good. So have you made friends? I guess, do you have like softball? They do that in prison, right?
Yeah, totally.
Gluten? Everything okay over there, or what's going on?
Yes, now.
Okay. Where did he disappear? Or so I don't think he's on the line anymore. So that was
Geoff.
And then what?
Geoff, what's going on with the phone call?
I don't know. He just kind of cut out. Hold on. Okay, so I am sorry, everyone. What an idiot. Okay, so everyone, apparently what happened and why all that noise was going on, apparently Gluten broke out of jail, I guess, which I don't even know how he could even have that happen. But it's stupid because he was only in for 72 days, and this was day 58, and now he's going to be completely fucked. Well, sorry about it. We really aren't doing great with Gluten interviews, but I do hope you enjoy the rest of the show. We've talked about this is basically just like a diary of me learning improv, sort of, slowly.
I always think you're saying it's a diarrhea of you learning improv.
It's a diorama.
That's what I heard this time, for sure.
That's what I thought.
It's a Wilmer Valderrama.
I was like, well, I'll just make up my own definition of what that means.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
He's filling up a toilet bowl with his improv skills.
I use too
He's
many $30,000 words.
Are we starting? Is this?
Sure.
Usually, I try to like signal you to just roll into it as we're talking.
No, I know.
Conversation.
I'm doing it out loud with my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, everybody. Today we have Tyler Landon Mays. Do you do the middle name thing?
Like just on stage, really.
Okay. Well, this is a stage. Oh yes, clapping.
Thank you. It's kind of weird, actually, because people in my family don't even call me Tyler, just T. So the full name is just for stage.
I think I read.
You can call me T if you want. You probably won't, though.
Yeah.
So did at school? Did you ever get like teabag or?
Shockingly, not until I moved to Portland did I hear. I never heard teabag till I moved here, or Tyler Gaze. I didn't hear until I moved to Portland. Shockingly.
Well, my name is Geoff, and no one is ever clever with mine. Geoff, which isn't even insulting, but it's more annoying to me than any pun that you can't make a pun with Geoff. So that's nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard Geoff a million times in your life.
Yeah, well, it's also the other thing that bugs me is that at work, people will come up and be like, "How do you pronounce your name?" Is that really important to this? Why are we doing this here?
Even from my family members, I sometimes get called Trevor, Taylor, and Travis.
I was going to say Soldier Spy.
Are there a lot of siblings in your family?
No, just my brother. I don't, my immediate family knows my name, but my aunts and uncles sometimes will call me Travis, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
it's been 32 years. You'd think they'd know Tyler at this point. It's not that weird of a name.
Yeah. Well, and because mine's spelled Geoff, so. But I mean, even if it was necessary to the transaction to like get my name, they could at least take some context clues as to how it's pronounced, because like it's not that hard. But.
I like that you explained that it's spelled Geoff when you just explained that a lot of people pronounce it Geoff.
Well, not everybody that listens to the show will be able to see the title, so like they might not know how my name is spelled.
Isn't Geoff how the Toys R Us mascot spells his name? The
yes.
giraffe?
Well, he has the E between the R and the Y. I don't. Because it's a
different name then.
Well, also it's my dad's name, which I used to have a joke about. Basically, he was trying to create a legacy or something. So, because I'm a junior.
I didn't realize that people thought Tyler was a silly name until I heard that George Carlin bit where he makes fun of terrible names in like the 80s, and he's like, boys like Tyler. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't know.
Well, one of them was Julian, which makes a little more sense than Tyler.
I was crushed.
Although Julian, we know a Julian, friend of the show.
He's a falconer.
So is that why he has?
Oh, did you say falconer?
Yeah.
Like for real, a falconer, or is that a joke I didn't get? Or is he like really fuck with falcons?
He's like
he's
a falconer, but instead of a falcon, it's jokes.
Wow. I'm nodding like I know.
I don't know.
Jokes about falconers.
Yeah, he does a lot of falconer stuff.
I see.
You reminded me of, I've heard multiple people come here, and when they see Dash's name written out, Dashel, they'll say Dashiel. I just don't think people are primed to
Dashiel
see
O'Neal.
that or Geoff and jump directly to the right. I don't know.
It's true.
Well,
I expect too much of people.
I've never really understood small talk, so like it's probably just like because of my weird brain. But like whenever someone comes in, like it's raining out, I'm like, okay.
I start sweating when like a stranger starts talking to me.
Totally,
like, starts a conversation with me. I just start fucking sweating. It's ridiculous. I'm like, why is that my reaction?
Well, it's because it's unnecessary to me. Like. I don't know. It's just, why do we need to be doing this? Like, just buy your things and get out. That's like my goal with every person that comes in.
I like the silent nod sort of thing. Just
Yep. Lots of inarticulate sounds.
It's good for podcast. We should work on our inarticulate sounds.
We should do some commedia dell'arte.
What? I don't know what that means.
It's silent movement stuff, like mime.
How many dollars was that worth?
20 Geoff coins.
That was out of my price range. I didn't get it.
Oh boy. Tyler, I'm always curious. Like, you're not from Oregon originally. Nope. What was the thing that got you into comedy? Like, did you grow up listening to comedy?
For sure. I can remember watching SNL obsessively as a kid, and then when I was probably 10 years old, I saw Sinbad's special, Afros and Bell Bottoms, and I talk this up still to this day as one of the best specials ever, and people are like, Sinbad? I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Sinbad, seriously. I remember showing it to like friends that would come over, and they didn't give a fuck. They'd be like, okay. This was from like 1982.
This was before or after Shazam?
This was... Wait, was Sinbad in Shazam?
Sorry, it's the Mandela effect thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, you really screwed my brain up there.
Sorry.
So yeah, I'd like show it to my parents and anybody I could. So that was really the first comedy special I remember watching. And then once I realized there was stand-up on Comedy Central all the time, I would just obsessively watch that. So yeah, I always
did too.
Was really into stand-up, but I really like it's odd. It seemed like something to me that you were like born into, though. Like, so I never thought I'd be able to do it. Like,
okay, I totally get that. Actually,
there were like kids at my school that were the theater kids, and I was like, they're the people that are going to end up on stage. I'm shy. There's no way I'm ever going to do this shit. And then I don't know. It wasn't really till I was like in my mid-20s when I kind of realized. Oh, I had friends that started doing it back in Virginia, and I was like, oh, You're not just like born a comedian?
Honestly, that's like very similar to my origin story too, because well, I was part of the theater kids, and I thought that I thought that was the way I was going to be going. So I didn't like think about doing stand up until I was my friend Jesse, who started comedy before me. He was like, you know way more about this stuff than I do. We should be doing this. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that was the first time I was like, oh, wait, I can do stand up, like
it is
very low bar to entry.
Yeah, it's a weird revelation. Like when I moved, I did stand up one time in Richmond. Eric and I were talking about this earlier. It went terribly, and as it should in your first time, really.
Honestly,
I think if
that's
it goes
the
well,
best way for it to go.
Like if it goes too well, you're going to think like, oh, this is easy, and then just you're going to get crushed eventually. But I had like a 5-minute story planned out. I went through it in 2 minutes because I was so nervous.
Oh yeah, I did that too.
It was like 20 people on the list at a pizza place in Richmond, and it took like 3 hours to get through 20 people because the host would do 5 minutes of material between everybody's set. It was awful. So I was way too drunk when I went up because I was so nervous. He put me up dead last. I try to put up new comics when I run a mic like first. Just be like, look, you're nervous. Just get this over with. Just do it.
I think Chad used to do Bullet when you first started out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like you would do Bullet on purpose?
I did like a good 6 months of Bullet because
I think
knew
it
I
really
was bad
helps.
at it.
Yeah.
I wanted to get better.
I think it helps. And like, I don't want to sit around for 2 hours waiting to go up anyway. So
yeah, just get nervous.
Yeah. So I remember that night I had like 3 friends there, and they like fake laughed at my story, which was like really like offensive to me, as I was like, I know I'm not being funny up here. They're the only people in the back laughing. And then I got off stage, immediately started walking home with them, and I remember saying like, at least I did it once, and now I know I'm not good at this, and I'll never do stand up again, but I'm okay with that. And it was like 2 years later, I moved to Portland, and I was actually hanging out with Barbara Holm, and she was talking about like an open mic she ran at Curious Comedy Theater.
Okay.
And she was like, just go to a mic at like Fun House and just see what it's like, see what people are like, and you can realize you can do it too. So that's how I got back into it, basically, in Portland.
Now the Funhouse mic? I feel has there been more than one iteration of that? Because I used to go to the Funhouse mic on Triple Dip nights.
I think Sean Connery's been doing it for the whole time that I've been here for almost 4 years, or in Oregon for almost 4 years.
This probably was before that, because I started in like 2011, and I was living in Portland at the time, so there was a Funhouse mic, but it probably was a different person running it. So I was just wondering if it was the same one, but I guess not. That's one thing that was kind of nice about the whole writing more jokes, or like writing what you think is like 5 minutes and it ends up being shorter. The first time I did the open mic at Helium, I had prepared in my brain like 5 or 6 minutes, and I didn't hear the thing about there being a 3-minute limit, or like it's a 3-minute mic. I didn't for some reason know that, and so my set was I didn't go over the light because of the fact that I had written what I thought was that whole thing. I'm really good at telling stories, by the way.
I was right there with you.
Well, I just did the...
okay, I just assume that it fails as I'm telling it.
You did a
time.
nervous double speed 6-minute set, right?
Yeah.
And it worked out, and you didn't get...
Yeah.
Yes, that would have been the efficient way to explain.
Well, I just had my Portland's Funniest Person slot on, I think it was last Wednesday, and...
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that was my first time on stage at Helium.
Oh, okay.
I did not realize you can't see the light in the back of the room whatsoever. Like it's so bright. So halfway through my set, I started to lean in and just stare at the back of the room. I was like, that doesn't look. So I just was in the middle of my set. I was like, sorry, this is unprofessional. I'm going to look at my phone, and just pulled it out and was like, oh shit, I have 10 seconds left. But I was so nervous about going over 6 minutes and getting disqualified from the. But I don't know. As soon as I feel like I've done enough and gotten a good reaction from the audience and done the time I'm allotted, I'm the sort of comic that's I'm getting the fuck off stage. I'm not going to sit here for 5 extra minutes for the attention, because it's really not what I want.
Well, it's also kind of a dick move, and I mean, my problem is never going to be going over at a mic. I am always under. It's just kind of how my brain does things. I don't like to. I feel tense when I get the light, and then I'm but and that ruins jokes. So
I was listening to an interview with I forget who it was from Kids in the Hall, but they were Pete.
I think there's 4 names.
I think there's 5 of them.
Oh,
I forget who it was, but
You better edit this
like
out.
an interview with
Chad.
it's like an interview with Pete Holmes when he asked him like, "How do you feel when a show gets canceled?" And the guy was like, "I feel awesome. That's great." Be like, I do stand up because I feel the need to, not because I like want the attention. I'm like, that's how I like. Once they give me the light, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, I'm not going to feel suicidal anymore. Like, I've done the thing that makes me feel good about myself.
You got the demons out.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that I totally. What was it? Suck the poison out. That's what I should have said. Edit that in.
He'll just pause in the middle. Suck the poison out.
Like, for fuck's sake, I'm turning into Todd Glass. Like, that is exactly what he would have done. That's stupid. So you have worked at a dispensary.
Indeed.
Which I think everybody's always just assumes that's like the best job ever, is it?
It certainly can be.
Yeah.
Like when I was intake manager at that shop, it was dope because like literally my job was just
intake.
my job was to just get free weed from all these different vendors and try it out and then report back to my boss about how high it got me. It was
nice.
But that only lasted like 6 months before my boss was like, "I'm shutting down the shop, going up to Canada." I was like, God damn it. But like I got
like,
so spoiled with that job too.
I bet, yeah. Well, no, I thought I read an article where like newspapers are gonna have like, you know, there's like the wine reviews and lunch review, you know, restaurant reviews. They're gonna have weed reviews like in magazines or something, and that's kind of a hilarious idea. It's just like, this had a.
They've had a few like Portland Mercury and Willamette Week like articles or issues where they like they do reviews of different strains or dispensaries. We got oddly the shop I worked at. We got this. We were named like most affordable dispensary in Portland, which I don't know who the fuck decided that because at the time we had only $18 grams at our shop, which is like
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, our owner was like, "We're going to be a boutique, the boutique dispensary in Portland. We'll have the finest stuff at the highest price, and people will the people that are the connoisseurs will flock to us." I'm like, "No, they fucking won't," and it did. That's why we shut down, I think. So, yeah, I don't know who decided that. It's kind of like. Just, I think, people making up shit at this point, just trying to fill up, magazine articles about weed. How much can you really write about it?
Well, also, print is a dying art form, so.
Indeed.
This
is the future.
I'm gonna plug a dispensary just because I go there all the time. DM, which is down the street here. This is just
DIEM.
Yeah, DM like Carpe it.
Carpet?
Yeah,
No, 503
carpet store.
Carpe.
Carpet DM.
Carpet. Anyway, just something funny that happened recently is this like tweaker type came into my work and was holding a sign that from DM that said, like 375 grams or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take that. And so I took it back to them and they gave me like 50% off, like everything. And that is not a funny story.
Shout out to DM.
Did you buy everything?
Shout out.
Yes, everything.
Nice.
I bought the whole shop. I now own DM.
Sweet. Half off. Yeah.
And the land and the building.
So you're saying if you're walking by DM and you just grab their sign and bring it inside and say, "Hey, I found this for you guys."
Was he like handing out flyers for them or what?
Who was?
I thought you said that like you saw somebody with a sign.
No, they these tweakers stole the sign.
Oh,
from DM. I
gotcha.
didn't explain
I
that.
gotcha.
Right?
You were too nice. You said a crackhead type.
I thought you were saying that they had like sandwich boards on them and were walking around like at my last dispensary.
They were just wearing a barrel.
We hired a sign spinner, which I think is so stupid. But we hired a sign spinner at my last dispensary, and on the first day, we went to go check on him. He was at the wrong corner that we told him to stand. It was a completely different corner, pointing the sign in the wrong direction. So we told him that was that's going to be it. And he was like shocked. He was like, "Really? Because of one mess up?" I was like, "It's kind of like the simplest job we can possibly give you." So then we put up another.
To update my LinkedIn.
We tried to find a replacement for him, put up an ad on Facebook for a new sign spinner, and this guy immediately messaged me for it. And then when I wrote back about what it would entail, he wrote, you know what? I don't think I'm sign spinner material, come to think of it. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Portland.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a professional sign spinner.
It's that Portland work ethic. I don't think I can.
I went
called up Kevin.
I've got it.
I have a BS in sign spinning from, I would assume, Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are I would I'm a professional
if anybody, by
interviewer.
the way, I'll fill the silence. If anybody is listening that owns a dispensary, give me a damn job. It's been 2 months.
Still
that
looking.
I've been ridiculous. I'm still looking for a job.
I thought I saw that you had a like interview or something recently.
Well, I've had several, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Somebody offered me a job at a dispensary up in Northeast Portland, but it was an hour-long conversation, and by the end, I told him that I wasn't interested in the job anymore.
Wow.
Because he was like, I need you to start Monday. And I was like, well, I'm going to Virginia for 2 weeks for vacation. And he was like, I'm going to need you to cancel that. And I was like, yeah, I can't. I only see my family a couple times a year. I can't really cancel that. And he was like, really? Okay, well, maybe we can work around that. But I want you to start Monday because I really want to fire the girl I've got working now because she's just awful. And I was like, you're really selling this big time.
That
And-
is super professional.
Yeah.
Dodge.
I was supposed to go work at his shop to like train and then go work at a shop downtown. And then at the end of the conversation, he was like, you know, a bunch of my employees here really hate working here. So maybe I'll have them go work at the new shop and you can come manage this shop and have a whole new staff because people really want to get out of here. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to take the job.
Hard sell.
So that was like 2 months ago and I have not had an offer since. But I think it was the right decision. I don't want to work for that dude.
That
Miserable.
yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. So as far as influences and things like that, obviously, like 40% of everybody's influences now turn out to be dirtbags. But like, what were some of the people that like inspired you into comedy and like made you what you do? You know,
For sure.
Just in case some of yours might be dirtbags now. I like that because it
well, because I
makes
mean,
it
mine
so-
are. I like it.
Yeah, I get
you
that.
know,
I mean,
I've
yeah,
talked
obviously,
a bunch
like-
about how I loved Bill Cosby when I was a kid. So.
I was just as obsessed with Louis C.K. as anybody else was, you
Yeah.
know, like 7 years ago or so. The person that I would say inspired me to actually start doing comedy would be Duncan Trussell.
Okay.
Yeah, because on his podcast, just so much of him, I won't try to do his voice, but just so much of him being like, just fucking
No, I know
do
the
it,
voice
man.
'cause
Just like,
he's-
yeah.
Yeah, he's on Todd Glass show. A
I
couple
love him
times.
so much. I think he's the best.
Yeah.
And also, that's why I wrote a sci-fi novel like 6 years ago, and that was because he was like, if you want to write a book, if you want to do stand-up, just fucking do it, man. And I was like, I'm going to fucking write a book then. And then several
Nice.
years later started doing stand-up. But
Published?
what?
Published?
I self-published it.
Oh.
Yeah. Chris
Nice.
Boatwright keeps saying, like, he's a published author. I'm like, stop saying that. It's fucking self-published. It's ridiculous to have to explain that to people. What was I saying, though? Oh, so, yeah, Duncan Trussell really inspired me to start doing it. But Mitch Hedberg, for sure, was, like, a huge influence on me, even though it's,
Yeah.
like, not at all what my comedy is like one-liners and stuff I never really do. It's more
Right.
storytelling.
Well, influences aren't necessarily like
Yeah.
something that you're going to emulate.
Yeah.
There are definitely comedians who do the thing where they emulate other
Yeah.
comedians or they like mix more than one. But like, yeah, no, it's all kind of like a soup.
yeah.
You know?
I feel like I've learned a lot in the past few years from watching Gary Goldman.
Yeah.
Watching him take one topic and get 10 minutes of material out of it.
Yes.
Really
He's very
like,
good at that.
yeah, it made me realize that I was throwing away a lot of stuff where it was just like making one joke off a premise, then going on to something else instead of being like, oh, well, you can keep talking about that. You don't have to panic and just go on to the next topic, which is like what I did for the first 2 years of comedy. Like,
yeah,
oh,
I
that
think,
got a
yeah,
laugh and
everybody.
then freak out and just go on to the next topic.
Well,
as quick as possible.
and at the same time, like I think it is good to edit out, words that don't need to be in the joke, that sort of thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's something that I think a lot of, including myself, comics do the one-liner thing because you're not comfortable just like going further with an idea.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to move into. So
Yeah. I've always been more interested in doing like storytelling comedy. So it's, it is funny that Mitch Hedberg is definitely my biggest influence. I would think like the person that I watched the most when I was a teenager. And it's funny because I don't know exactly what it was in my high school where Mitch Hedberg became as well known as like a band would be.
Yeah.
But everybody
He
that I
definitely
knew could quote Mitch Hedberg jokes. Like I don't know any other comic that has that sort of like, especially at least where I came from, like it's so widely known.
Right. He's like the Jimi Hendrix of comedy.
The best night I've had doing comedy was at Funhouse Lounge in Portland. I forget what the name of the show was, but it was something where you get like assigned some twist on your comedy, and mine was that I was supposed to pretend to be another comic and do their material. Like it was supposed to be a local comic or like somebody. The rules were basically like either somebody dead, so you're not like stealing somebody's current material, or just a friend of yours that's like a local comic. So in the green room, I found a wig and sunglasses, and I just went out and did like 10 minutes of Mitch Hedberg.
Nice.
It was so easy, and so like biggest laughs that I've ever gotten, and I'm just literally I had my phone open on the podium and just would go back and read a few and then just say them to the audience, and it was so easy.
Well, his demeanor is especially hard to duplicate, and not sound like a dick, kind of, because it's. Like, it sounds simple. You're just like, you just say it with a certain emphasis.
Indeed.
But, like, there's more to it than that.
Well, I was kind of disappointed because my favorite joke of his that I said that night didn't get any laughs, where I don't know if you'll remember it. It's about
I'm pretty sure.
Shampoo commercials, where he's like, you ever see those shampoo commercials where a woman is washing her hair under a waterfall? He's like, that's bullshit, man. That would knock you on your ass. That's all he says, but it makes me laugh so hard. Imagining like somebody walking under a waterfall and just getting crushed immediately with a shampoo bottle in their hand.
I think my favorite joke of his is, I can't tell you where I'm staying tonight, but there are 2 trees involved.
Yeah, it was just so much fun to fucking do that. And it took all of my nerves away from having to do that show. I'm like, who cares? I'm going to have a wig on and sunglasses and do Mitch Hedberg jokes.
Did you ever... Comedy Central released like his half-hour special, Mm-hmm. They also, on the DVD of it, had the like extended version where it's like all the stuff that didn't work that they cut out.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Did you ever watch that?
I think I have, where he is like
really
addressing the crowd. Yeah.
Well, because the crowd doesn't like any of his new material at all,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of being, annoying about it. So he comments on it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting, like, for the comedy process. So
yeah, I've seen that.
One thing that I wanted to bring up, I hope I'm not interrupting, is one of my favorite mics that I've ever been to. That was yours, right? Hotbox?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's one of my favorite mics, and it was so very DIY and so very fun.
And
I only got to do it once.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it really sucks. Like, that's another thing I got spoiled with, is having like a free comedy space that I could do whatever I wanted with, like
totally.
That. For a couple months after it shut down, I kept like trying to find another spot that would do something like that. And I was like, do you have just like a side room I can just do whatever the fuck I want with for totally free? And they're like, no. Like, oh, yeah, that's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, I guess. But the Hotbox mics were either awesome or awful, depending on who showed up. If
those are the best mics when you have that dynamic.
If certain drunk locals showed up and harassed people.
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
The one night that I went, Ammerman had brought his crossbow.
Oh, yeah. I had forgotten about that.
It was so hilarious because, like, after an hour or two, he finally got, like, a board set up so that he could shoot the arrow into it.
Yeah.
And then he shot it, and it just bounced off.
I felt like such a dad that night, just being like, all right, guys, just, like, make sure we don't get the cops called on us or anything.
Totally.
Like, we're smoking.
And he made Tim tell his favorite story. You know Tim Ledwith, right?
Yeah.
Tim has this story about being drunk and like yelling at some guys in Boston and like getting punched. But the way he tells the story is just like fucking hilarious.
He's such a natural comic.
God.
It's funny. You can bring up something to Tim Ledwith about what he did on stage the night before, and he doesn't remember because it was so off the cuff. Like one night at the Hotbox. He's about to go on stage, and he finds a gravel rake in the back room, and he's like, can I use this? And I was like, yeah, if you want to. And he goes up on stage, and 5 minutes, he just pretends to be a construction worker whose only job is to smooth out the gravel. And he goes, don't ask me. He's like, don't ask me to fuck with cinder blocks. Don't put me in the truck, okay? I'm here to smooth things out. Don't try to make my life rough, okay? I'm here to smooth. And the next day I was like, dude, that gravel rake thing last night. He goes, what do you mean? And I was like, the gravel rake bit you did at the hot box? Fantastic. He goes, no clue what you're talking about. And I was like,
That's
okay.
totally Tim. Like, oh man, I really want him on this show because he is
It's
like
fantastic.
the best kind of lunatic. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. Are you familiar with Tim Hammer at all?
I know that name, but
He doesn't do comedy anymore, or at least for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's possibly the best one-liner writer that I've ever heard ever.
I feel like I remember just seeing something on Facebook where somebody posted they wanted Tim Hammer to come back to comedy.
Yeah.
So that's what
It
I'm...
was probably Geoff.
He has. I mean, he had like 10 minutes on Oreos. Like, just.
So like I don't know. Once you get into like a stand-up scene, it's a very weird feeling when somebody you like stops doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when I was a teenager and somebody would be like, "I'm going to quit smoking weed, man." I'd be like, "What the fuck? No, this is what we do together. Why are you stopping?"
Well, yeah, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, why'd you stop?
All the people that I did comedy with went on to L.A. So no, that's it.
All of them?
Not all of them.
One of them went on to somewhere.
What?
Nothing.
What? Are you wanting me to name drop? Is that...
No, I was gonna make a joke that he's dead.
Well, that's great, Chad.
I backed away from it, and I
Fucking
didn't.
hell.
Rightfully so.
I decided to not say it. Okay, so we're good.
Edit it out.
Who was in your group when you were living in Portland? That you...
Oh well, I just the people that I saw most often were like Don Frost and Funches and Ian Carmel and Jimmy Newstetter. And just even though Jimmy, every time he introduced me, said that I was from Salem, and I was like, I live in Portland, dude.
Yeah, those are like a lot of names that I heard like right when I moved here, like 4 years ago, and then they just kind of were moving off to LA and stuff like that, like you said.
Like right before Sean Jordan was really moving.
Oh yeah.
Because that he, by the way, is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met in comedy. Just a really like good person.
Yeah, I like Sean Jordan quite
and
a bit.
Shane Torres. That's another one that's just a really good person.
For sure.
So
it was weird for me to move to the West Coast and like start meeting people that like growing up in Virginia, you just don't meet people that actually like do stuff in the entertainment industry. You know,
Right.
like this is weird, but I can't
you're
even
a
remember.
long way from Hollywood.
Don't even remember this guy's name, but for like 2 months in Portland, I was living in this house with this guy who was an actor. I can't believe I can't remember his name. He was my roommate. But one day he like just mentioned off the cuff like his role in the Twilight movies, and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Well, it's not like a big role. It's just a few lines in Twilight." And I'm like, "You've never mentioned to me that you're in the Twilight movies?" And he was like, "I'm an actor. That's what I do." And I was like, "Oh, it's bizarre as shit to me." And then I walk in like Plaid Pantry one day and saw a cardboard cutout of him. He was the face of the Oregon Lottery. So he's like holding, and I was like, and yeah, to him it's just completely fucking normal. To me, it's like weird as shit that people actually, there's human beings that do this stuff.
Was his name Hunter?
I don't think so.
Okay. There's a guy I went to.
I really don't know.
There's a guy I went to high school with. His name is Hunter Breyer Rochlob. Sorry to use your real name, but yeah. So
that's not him.
He moved to Portland, and he was also in the Twilight movie. And then he moved to L.A. And when he got to L.A., he went by Hunter Jackson.
Oh, it's bizarre.
Instead of Hunter Breyer Rochlob.
I won't.
That's weird.
Do you know Andrew Kushner, the Portland comedian?
Yeah.
You should try to do a podcast with him sometime. I won't tell.
I've asked him. Yeah, we're gonna work that out.
I won't tell his entire story here, but he was a child actor and growing up in L.A. And it was down to him and the kid that got the role of DJ on Roseanne for who was going to get that role. And then he got suspended at school, and his mom's punishment was to not let him like go to any more auditions. So he could have been fucking
good
DJ
idea,
on
Mom.
Roseanne. And that's the sort of thing like people
He
on
could
the
be
West
the next
Coast.
Jake Lloyd.
Like, that's what I'm saying. People on the West Coast just bring up this shit like it's totally normal. Well, I was almost DJ on Roseanne. I'm like, what the fuck? That's what a crazy person says
That's
to
a
you.
weird name drop.
If someone says that to you in Virginia, you're like, oh, you're crazy. Okay.
All right. I think we should move into some games here.
All right.
Boop-a-dee-doo. Then we're going to play some games. All right.
Or two.
The first one is called Which Band Loved Jesus?
All right.
I feel a little too like morning radio guy when I just did that.
Which band loved Jesus?
Yes. What? Anyway, so the basically I'm just gonna play 2 songs. I'm not gonna tell you the names of the bands just in case that's something that someone would know. And you just after play both of them, you guess which one?
Guess what?
Jesus.
Who's talking about Jesus?
Mm-hmm. This is Carnival.
Is this one of those super long intro songs?
No, I'm working on that.
Okay.
I'm getting better with it. Maybe it is. I think that gives you a general idea. If I can turn it off. There we go. I'm professional. All right, this song is called "Kick the Map in the River."
See,
What?
I like the drummer, and sometimes I forget that. Like, Christians can be talented sometimes.
You know, it does happen.
It's a very Christ-like.
I'm covering the
intro.
fact that this is yet another fucking song where there's a really long intro. Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
I think you got the idea of
Okay,
those
well,
two.
The lyric, which I think I heard, an experience which is impossible to prove, something like that. That sounds an awful lot like.
Was that in that song just now?
Yeah. Now here's where I'm thinking. Carnival sounds like a damn Christian band for sure.
Oh, that's the name of the song. But
Oh.
just to be clear,
Gotcha. I
Not
thought
the-
that
not
was
the
the name
band.
of the band. Oh, those were song names. Carnival.
Yeah,
and the Kick
sorry.
Them Up? Okay. Well, to be honest, I couldn't really hear the lyrics in the first one, but it had a more Jesus-y feel. But I'm gonna guess, based off the lyrics, that the "Kick the Map in the River" is from the Jesus-loving band.
that is correct, sir.
All right.
You get. You
Been
get
subjected to way too much of this shit in my life.
you get 7 Geoff coins. Oh yeah, you get Geoff coins if you're right,
Noise.
and if you're not right, if I feel like it.
Don't ask about the exchange
You
rate.
can really probably get
I
as
we
many
were
as you want.
disappointed.
Christian rock, as a religious person and somebody that likes rock music, just that phrase "rock music" sounds corny these days. You know,
I'm into rock and roll.
Hank Hill has that great quote where he's like, "Don't you understand? You're not making Christianity better. You're just
Totally.
making rock and roll worse." It's like people can see
totally.
through this. Okay, it's annoying.
Well,
Anyway.
by the way, the first band was Burning Airlines, the song Carnival. The second band was Blenderhead, and they're a Christian band. There's a like, because when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of like underground bands, and that was the same with like the Christian bands. It was all the underground stuff, and a lot of the Christian bands, they were really uncomfortable with being called a Christian band.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a little bit tricksy in the way I do this.
Who's Trixie?
Yes, you've already made this joke, Chad. I was waiting for it.
Who the fuck is Trixie?
From Deadwood. It's that character in Deadwood. I know, Chad. You never get any reference that I ever say. We've established this.
Well, I started when I was like 15 or 16. I was in a punk band with 2 friends of mine, and then we got this other kid from our school to be the singer, and realized like 2 days in that he was writing all Christian lyrics for his song. And then one day he like sat down with us. He was straight edge, and the rest of us were like already potheads at 15. And he sat down and he was like, "I have a song that I'm writing. I don't want you guys to like get offended at it, but it's about how hard it is to have friends who are like drug addicts and like like that have sex and stuff and like, you know, lead like debaucherous lives. So I don't want you to be like mad." And we're like, but it is about us.
That's like
It was so awkward.
No Doubt having the song about that she wrote about the bass player.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of an asshole thing to do.
Oh, this kid was so like, I don't know. I've known him my entire life, but when we were like teenagers, he told me one day that he goes to bed at like 8:30 at night when we were like 16, and I was like, "Your parents make you?" He goes, "No, I need a full night's sleep if I'm going to do well in school." And I was like, "Oh, you're like a completely different creature than I am."
Like literal square as a person.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, Chris Robertson, to talk about you like that.
no, thanks for giving his full name.
He's hanging out with Hunter Breyer Rochloff.
Oh boy. So we're gonna move on to our second game, which is It's a Fun Scene, Man. Recently rebirthed from its old title.
It's like a Nick
Okay.
Jr. show.
What?
It sounds like the intro to a Nick Jr. show.
I honestly thought you said Carl's Jr.
Different name.
I know it is
Hardee's.
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 It's Carl's Jr. How do you get?
It's East Coast Hardee's.
Yeah.
Well, it's
No,
But
West
why not
Coast Hardee's.
Carl Jr.'s instead of Carl's Jr.?
Because it's a Carl's brand restaurant, but it's the junior version.
Oh,
of
I'd never heard of
Yeah.
Carl's brand restaurant.
So
So familiar with Ruth's Chris Steakhouse?
Yeah, the stupidest name for any
Yeah, what is
restaurant
that?
ever.
There was a Chris Steakhouse, and then a woman named Ruth bought the company and named it Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which is just annoying all around. And Chris Steakhouse is a very stupid name for a steakhouse. I'm Chris. This is my steakhouse. Chris Steakhouse.
Well, no,
It's
maybe
mostly
maybe
local.
his name is
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Steakhouse.
Steakhouse. Yeah.
that's what I want to be true.
That's actually a great name.
Well, might as well start one. I mean, got the name.
Chris Steakhouse.
Maybe that's
actually
just-
sell broccoli.
Maybe Ruth's just his mom.
Yeah.
Christopher. Christopher, get
It's your
in here.
steakhouse.
Hello.
Christopher, I need to talk to you.
What about?
Well, I've been noticing lately that you've been cooking a lot.
Well, do you mean like I'm cooking or?
No, I mean you're in the kitchen, you're making food, you're
Oh,
cooking
well,
a
yeah.
lot, you're leaving your dishes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to go with this? Why are you doing that?
Well, I was thinking that when I eventually go into college, that I could major in dish stacking. So I needed something to practice with.
Dish stacking. And the dishes need
Yes.
to be dirty first?
Well, I mean, it just helps with like cohesion. It's like glue. That's a trick of the trade.
That's a trick of the trade, is they're putting glue on the dishes now.
Well, not
Christopher,
glue.
You are my most disappointing of all my 6 sons.
Angela!
Oh boy.
What
Hey.
is it, Rodney? What?
Why are you even trying with that boy? He's just a loser. He still fucking lives here.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it, all right?
You guys, you're talking over the fucking game.
I'm
I can hear you from the kitchen. I don't want to be able to hear you.
Just turn your game up, Rod.
All right.
Turn up your game.
Oh, tonight I'm gonna stack so many dishes.
All right. You know what, Christopher?
Yes.
I've been thinking. Maybe you need to start working with maybe one of your brothers on learning how to do something more productive. Because this dish stacking thing,
Oh,
first
what?
of all, I don't think it's an industry, so it can't really have industry secrets. And why
Oh.
would they glue them together?
Well, what do you want me to be? What, like a businessman analyst?
No,
Yeah.
rock stacking.
Rock stocking?
Rock stacking.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's
that's-
your brother
that's
Lucian.
like, I don't know. That's like the primitive, like I'm on a whole new levels. Like we're working on stacking all sorts of different things. Dish stacking isn't just, it's just the beginning. We're going to make a whole new paradigm. But, I don't know.
It's as loud as the TV goes, and I can still fucking hear you talking about dishes.
Put on the headphones that Matthew got for you for Christmas.
You could try dog stacking, cat stacking.
Listen to your brother. He's got some good ideas.
Yeah, Christopher. Okay, come here.
Also, mouse.
look
Maybe
at-
go in the other room
Well-
also, because I can still hear you. But that's okay. I'll just turn it up. Oh, the
Oh
headphones.
my gosh.
I got the headphones.
You got the
Got the
headphone?
headphones?
I got the
Okay.
headphones.
Good. All right.
So he got the headphones, right?
Yeah, he got the headphones.
Okay.
Now, Christopher, we got to talk about your future. We got to get Lucian to help you out here because he is into all kinds of very successful stacking.
Yeah. He's very establishment. He's very corporate crap.
Well, at the Graham Cracker Factory, we've had a lot of luck with snack stacking and sleeves.
Oh yeah, I bet you're gonna sell it to all the sheeple in America. Yeah, that's gonna be me.
No,
I'm gonna be the one.
Stack. You can't sheep stack. That's ridiculous.
Well, sheeples you can stack like corpses, like the bodies in the graves.
This is great. Now you're looking outside of dishware. Wonderful.
Well, you're saying I should look into corpse stacking?
Just anything besides the dishes, as long as you
Genghis
keep
Khan
it
did
nice and
it.
clean.
Genghis Khan was very successful with that.
I guess somebody needs to do it, right? You know, and I am good at stacking. Look, I just look at my newest piece. I was just doing this while we were talking.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How many? Wow! Look at that.
I was hoping to get a scholarship. Maybe I'll go into corpse stacking instead.
You know, from slacking to stacking, that's good. A good transition.
You can always rely on Lucian for a good quote, a quotable quote.
That's right. As your older brother.
It's 3 days till the T-shirts will be here, but slacking to stacking is on the way.
I can't wait to wear those T-shirts. They're my color.
Yeah. Man.
What? Why are you upset? What's wrong?
I forgot. I already applied for the dish stacking school. Do you think I have time? Do you know of the number of the corpse stacking school? You know the one in Leesburg over there.
Let's ask your father.
I think it's number 3.
No,
Number 3. It's the third charter school, but it's the third one.
no, not the number that they're ranked. I'm talking about the phone number.
I don't fucking talk on the phone anymore. But I mean, if you gonna call them and say I'm not coming, just don't fucking go.
No, the number for the corpse school.
Oh,
Take out the headphones.
hold on. Let me just come in there.
Oh, fine.
I got to throw away my TV dinner. What do you? Okay, you.
I'll stack it over here.
Angela.
Rodney.
Okay.
What?
Rod is fine.
Well, I'm angry with you. I'm indicating that by using your full name.
We always talk. Everybody always. I can never tell when you're angry with me.
I usually am. All right.
All right. Well,
I think it's just people like to say Rodney because people might get you confused for Rod Stewart. Considering.
There you go, stacking again, Christopher. Always stacking.
Well, I'm always kind of doing that.
I was trying to watch the TV out there, and I was watching all these kids with their all the crazy things that they can do. You're talking about dish stacking, and I see this kid.
Dad, your voice sounds weird.
Angela.
Rodney, he's right. He's right. Your voice does sound very weird.
I was getting worked up with the kids on the TV. Anyway, there was one of them that had a whole sleeve of these cups, and then he just said, "Look at what I can do," and then he just stacked them into a pyramid, and then he just made them disappear.
Oh yeah, because he had a template. They're built to stack. They're
More
made
dishes.
that way.
No more dishes.
No more dishes. Okay.
They're
More
taking away
stacking the
my
dishes.
job.
Taking away your job.
Yeah.
No,
we
what
should.
what you're gonna do, Christopher, is you're not gonna go to any school. That's gonna be too expensive. You don't need it. What you need is real life experience.
Also, should have been about 10 years ago with the school.
I'm sending you.
What?
I'm going to pretend that
Sorry.
I didn't hear
Sorry.
that. I'm sending you to go work with your brother Lucian
Oh, no.
and learn everything from him that you can.
At the Graham Cracker Factory.
At the Graham Cracker
It's gonna be
Factory.
Is there a union?
No.
You'd be a graham cracker stacker.
Well, maybe I can work from the inside.
You're doing a free internship.
Actually, you have to pay. If I remember correctly, when you're an intern, you have to pay.
Yeah, it costs less than the school.
It's about $5 a day.
Well, thanks everyone. Now, well, I'm just gonna go commit suicide.
Oh, don't. I mean,
Please
come on.
don't.
I mean,
Talk
Yeah,
about
okay.
stacking.
well,
Okay, I was being
Angela,
a little
I mean, tell
dramatic.
him to not, I guess, but as your mom's live-in boyfriend here, that'll kind of clear up some room.
I
Okay.
guess the dishes wouldn't be stacked anymore.
Oh, you know what? But then yeah.
Which, I mean,
Is
that's fine.
I don't mind the dishes stacked. It reminds me of those kids on the TV.
Maybe
You got a lot heavy interest in the kids on the TV. That's something else we should probably.
I
talk
like the
about
little
sometimes.
cups. Them kids
yeah,
in
the little cups.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the TV.
All right, you get out of here.
that's what everybody wants.
Give me one of them
Just-
streuzels. Thanks.
Well, here you go.
What?
I said, here you go. I'm standing right in front of you.
Christopher, you're yelling in my
Was
ears.
that sarcasm? Because I was out of the room when you were mentioning something, and I feel like, never mind. Talk to your mother.
I'm sorry, I yelled in your ear.
Yeah, you should be. No, you're gonna go to the factory. You're gonna learn the graham cracker stacking stylings of your brother Lucian, and I'm gonna sit in this kitchen and look at all the dishes, unsullied, unstacked, and I'm just gonna have myself a little martini. You boys get out of here.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to. I think I start Monday too.
It's graveyard shift.
Graveyard.
Oh, perfect. You start now. It's
All right.
7:00.
Well, have a good night, everybody.
What?
And scene. I don't know.
Where was I? Oh, good lord. Jeff,
yeah.
doing improv with you is like nothing
I
else.
know. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not your fault.
We might have to
It's all
change
of
the
us.
name back.
That was the in post.
Yeah, just edit all that out.
We were all there. We were all part of it. It's a journey.
That was one of the smoother roll-ins that I've because I was about to respond to you saying something over there. I was like, oh, we're just riffing. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going. Okay,
Oh yeah, I just
we're live
started.
here.
I went for
no,
it.
it was good.
I could not figure out a way to get out of it, and that's where I was just panicking at the end. So
Well, the thing
Sorry.
is,
Why do you think I walked out of the room?
we never had a. There was nothing to do a scene about in there.
you learn.
See, the scene felt like it was in a very small apartment.
Yeah, we were all standing around in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But as a tiny kitchen.
Okay.
Good. That was
Well-
about family.
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 Right.
Family.
Oh yeah, I could not keep that accent. I kept forgetting what I was. It was like a Brooklyn, and then it was Jewish, and then it
Yeah,
was
I
just
don't
like
know. I don't know
there's
why
Italian stuff. No, yours was fine. But
Well,
yeah,
I don't know why I default that.
well, you
It's that or Southern,
yeah.
which is not good.
I was thinking of doing something with what was the name of the Chris Steakhouse. I was thinking of doing something with a last name that's like a restaurant or something, but
He could have just busted
couldn't-
down the door.
Woo-hoo! I'm Chris Steakhouse, coming to fuck all of you.
well,
Look out!
I was thinking of Jenny Patisserie or something.
What?
But I couldn't figure out a way to get it in, and I'm not as good as you at kicking in the door.
What does that mean, Jenny Patisserie?
Oh,
Well,
I
it's
get
just
it.
because Chris Steakhouse.
Yeah.
What's a patisserie?
A
I don't know that word.
It's like
There's
a-
one by my house.
Well, I'm glad I didn't fucking do
They
it
have
now.
pastries.
Oh,
They make
okay, I was
pastries.
thinking like a rotisserie. But is it something you stick a scone on and then you roast it over a fire? I get it.
Where's that womp womp?
My dad has this ongoing joke. It's only happened 3 times in my life, but if a menu has quiche Lorraine on it, my dad will point to it and go to my mom, "Is that your quiche Lorraine?" And she's like, "It's not fucking funny."
I like it.
Every time he says, "Yeah, I think it's cool."
Dad jokes. Yep.
He also
All
likes to
right.
point at the Chinese writing on a receipt at a Chinese restaurant and be like, "No, we didn't get that." And my mom will stare at the Chinese writing for 5 seconds and go, Well, how do you know? You don't. She doesn't get these things.
That's great.
Stupid little jokes.
I like the relationship you see that I read. The relationship you have with your dad that I read on Facebook.
He's
Like that's
got my sense of humor.
that's
from
as
him
much
for
as I
sure.
know, but yeah, it's charming.
All right, that was the end of that.
Show?
Probably a little bit ago.
Oh, the scene
This scene, yeah. No,
Oh, yeah.
I mean the scene was over.
and scene.
Oh boy.
This whole podcast is just one long giant scene with scenes inside. All right, do some plugs
Do it,
Well,
now.
Geoff. Put the gun away. God.
starting soon, Sunday mornings at the Lamp in Portland, we will have Bamboozled, the game show, which is based off of an episode of Friends. And that is literally the only thing I have coming up.
Okay,
That's
cool.
my
That
one
sounds fun.
plug.
It does sound fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wait,
It's really fun.
It's based on an episode of Friends?
Yep, Joey is auditioning to be. I'm like weirdly obsessed with Friends. I really love. I understand. I have a joke that like there's two things in my life that I love that I understand why other people hate, and it's Jesus and Friends. I'm like, I don't get it. They're corny and stupid. But what was I gonna say? Oh, Joey is auditioning to be the new host of a game show called Bamboozled. And in the episode, he has Chandler and Ross acted out with him. So I just took the rules they mentioned in the episode and we made it an actual game and we played it at the Hotbox for a while.
Oh, that sounds fun.
There's a spinning wheel and a ladder of chance, and you pull the tail of the golden monkey if you win. It's a whole thing.
Imagine if in the show, the game show is called Bamboozled, and then they just acted out the movie Bamboozled by Spike Lee.
Yeah. Everyone just watch.
It's very avant-garde.
And it's movie trivia based, by the way.
Chad,
Oh,
plugs.
oh, thanks. Sure. What? Front Street Comedy open mic. That's fun. That's Sunday nights in Salem. What do we got? 6 weeks. So this next Friday Night Funny was great. It was awesome. We had Noriko and Dan Weber and guests.
That's a
Oh
good
man.
bill just there.
Yes,
It was
sure.
so great.
it was great. Yeah.
Yes, in the past.
Yeah, the Pod Chaos, Salem Comedy Studios.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you put in the bow thing.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Pilots, the improv, the Truth or Dare live. That's it.
What's your name?
Emma. Hi.
Emma Jonas.
I was
Oh,
going
yeah, hello.
to say your name.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Here I am. They
Emma.
know. They know who I am.
I guess we'll just have to see you guys another week from now. I feel dumb.
My name is Geoff. I need something to do, an excuse to have conversations with you. I wasted my life gaining pop culture knowledge, which shows much more than my 10 seconds in college. My name is Geoff. Geoff needs something to do.
You've been listening to Geoff Needs Something to Do with your host, Geoff Parks. Recorded in the Salem Comedy Studios at Capital City Theater. Produced and edited by Chad Johnson.
This has been a Salem Comedy Studios production.